All right, in news just coming in, Pakistan has reacted a day after India warned it. Remember, India's Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman yesterday said Pakistan will pay for its misadventure. Now, Sitharaman made the statement after visiting those wounded in the Sanjivan terror attack. Now, Pakistan's Defence Minister Khurram Dastagir Khan has issued a statement in response saying Pakistan will defend its land and its forces are alert. So this is news just coming in from Pakistan, where the Defence Minister of Pakistan has reacted to Indian Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's statement and warning Pakistan yesterday that it will pay for this misadventure. All right, joining me live from the WION newsroom is WION's senior editor Surya Gangadharan. Good afternoon, Surya. First of all, what do you make of this Pakistan response on expected lines, would you say?
Oh, it's very typical Pakistani reaction. You will never find any Pakistani official or leader making any admission that they were responsible for some acts of terrorism committed in India. Rather, the aim will be to turn the thing the other way around and put the blame on India for creating this kind of situation. So, in that sense, the minister's response is a typical Pakistani response.
And also very quickly, Surya, we know for a fact that Ms. Sitharaman is not given to rhetorical flourishes. She says she means business. So when she said that Pakistan will pay for its misadventure, what does she have in mind?
Well, the point here is that every time there is a Pakistani attack of this kind, the army says it will respond at a time and place of its choosing. So in that sense, what Nirmala Sitharaman said yesterday is something that we know the army has said before and will carry out. Exactly what she will do, well, obviously nobody in the army is going to tell us exactly how they're going to plan a response to the Pakistani attack. It will be at a time and place, obviously, of their choosing, and it could be a surgical strike, it could be something more, perhaps a bat action across the line of control, we don't know. Obviously, the more one talks about these things, the greater the risk that the plan of this kind could go wrong way. So in that sense, the army is holding its cards and it will reply at an appropriate time.
All right, on that note, Surya, thank you so much for joining me on this bulletin. All right, so just to bring our viewers up to speed with the latest news coming in from Pakistan. Pakistan has reacted a day after India warned it. Remember, India's Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman yesterday said Pakistan will pay for its misadventure. Ms. Sitharaman made the statement after visiting those wounded in Sanjivan terror attack. Now, Pakistan's Defence Minister Khurram Dastagir Khan has issued a statement in response saying that Pakistan will defend its land and that its forces are alert. All right, we'll stay on this news for the moment and we'll get the full complement of WION's reporters on the ground and in the newsroom to bring you, the viewer, up to speed with the latest news coming in from Pakistan, where its Defence Minister has responded to Indian Defence Minister's warning yesterday. Ms. Sitharaman, addressing the media yesterday, said that Pakistan will pay for this misadventure. All right, joining me for more on the story is my colleague Karthike Sharma. Karthike, no surprises really there for the statement and the kind of formulation issued by the Pakistani minister.
See, I'm not really surprised that the Pakistan's defence minister has said that, because Nirmala Sitharaman's statement yesterday itself was very unprecedented. For defence minister of any country to say that the other country will pay a price, you had to expect a response. And obviously Nirmala Sitharaman's statement was in context of the dastardly attack which took place, in which so many soldiers died. They were killed in action, and a similar attack took place in Srinagar. The whole episode ended an hour back, again in which a soldier was injured. So it's but obvious that India had to come out with a response. Now, to say that the Pakistan has come out with a response is but obvious, because Pakistan has never shied away from promoting terrorism. They have promoted terrorism, but the political establishment has come out with a different alibi, different story altogether, where generals indulge jihadis to push for violence across the border, but the political class feigns ignorance. So that's part of the tactic, that's part of what Pakistan has become after 1980s, when Zia took over the power and got Benazir Bhutto's father hanged, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. Now, coming to the fact that what does it mean? It means that, the bickering is being reflected at the highest level. Generally these statements would come from the media panelists or the TV studios, or they would come from, I would say, the strategists or even party MPs. But from the defense minister to come, it gets escalated. Who after defense minister is just going to be the prime minister? And when prime ministers say that, it's like almost an act of war. It's like North Korea when Trump and North Korean premier engaged in a verbal duel. But I think that's what has been in the case with Pakistan. So my idea of the situation is that for Nirmala Sitharaman to say this, it opens up a lot of possibilities. Was she talking about surgical strikes? Was she talking about some sort of an action, retaliation? A number of actions can be taken on border: collateral damage, bunker busting. For example, where our soldiers were killed, they actually used an anti-tank missile on an armored vehicle on the convoy. That is why it led to so many casualties. But ultimately, it's also an indication from the political establishment that there will be no letdown, there will be no talk. And if you remember, what did Prime Minister say? Darya mein pani aur khoon ek saath nahi beh sakta hai, which basically translates in English, the water and blood cannot flow together, and that was in context of the water sharing issue. So I think there is, the stands have been firmed up, but I think they have gone to a level where it's going to be frozen for quite some time.
Also, Karthike, you know it better than anyone else that when it comes to national security issues, the opposition seems to be on the same platform as the government of the day. But when you look at the past, incidents of terror fomented against India, be it the 2008 attacks in Mumbai or the Pathankot attack of 2016, the Uri attack and the surgical strike that followed it, the question is, how much is too much? How many lives is one too many to be lost to terrorism?
This is an endless debate to say how much is too much, because, Ramesh, that any other thing which can lead to is an act of war, or a number of surgical strikes. But there is also a limit to the surgical strike. There's a political limit to a surgical strike. The surgical strike has a military potential, but even that potential has a limit. Surgical strikes can go wrong. Your own soldiers can be captured. Your own soldiers can be killed. So there are consequences to a surgical strike. Surgical strike in the imagination of civil society is easy, but it's one of the toughest tasks because you have to get each man back across the border. So ultimately, when we talk about violence, sometimes it has to do the out-of-box solution. If you remember, Dr. Manmohan Singh and Musharraf, despite being Musharraf the aggressor and godfather of the Kargil adventure,
right,
for 3 years there was peace on LOC.
Right. Karthike, do stay on. We're now joined by analyst M.D. Nalapad on the phone line. Good afternoon, Mr. Nalapad. Good to have you join us on WION again. What do you make of Pakistani Defence Minister Khurram Dastagir Khan's statement in response to Nirmala Sitharaman's statement yesterday, where she warned Pakistan that it will pay for this misadventure?
Well, it's obvious that Pakistan would pay for its misadventure, and the point is the Pakistanis will believe it when some misadventure actually happens to them. They're not going to believe it just because a statement is made. The fact of the matter is that from the time the PDP-BJP alliance was announced, I have been of the view the situation in Kashmir will deteriorate as a result of this, because the PDP is a soft separatist party. I don't know what the BJP is doing, allying itself with the soft separatist party, but the situation in Kashmir is definitely much worse than it was during the time of the UPA, and I think for this particular alliance is responsible. So the root of the problem is in India, and the root of the problem is the government in Jammu and Kashmir, which frankly is giving too much rope to the separatist elements.
Also, Mr. Nalapad, some would say that more talks, saying no to talks is the answer or the way forward. Where do you stand on this issue?
Well, frankly, talks are useless, to be frank with you. So the reality is that the Pakistan army is not going to, you're not talking to the Pakistan army, you're talking to the civilians, and they have zero influence over the army, and they have zero influence, therefore, on whatever is happening on the ground in Jammu and Kashmir. So, in my view, talks are useless until a situation is reached in which there is stability in Kashmir. And that can only be reached if the government in Srinagar is 100% on the side of the Indian military in ensuring that the terrorists and the militant separatists are shown a lesson. Now, if the government there tries to play, both sides, friendly with the separate, For example, this disgraceful FIR that was filed against the army.
Right.
In my view, that kind of an FIR deserves the immediate dismissal of the state government. I'm really surprised that not even a protest has been filed by the Home Minister, the Chief Minister of Kashmir, after this disgraceful FIR was filed against our brave soldiers.
All right, on that note, Professor Nalapad, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with me on this occasion. Appreciate it.